you're looking for help setting up a TikTok account, it's not my job.
Definitely, social media is the worst of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the March 20, 2026 meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Town of Forest Heights, Maryland. The time is now 8:06, and this meeting will come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
You hear me? Councilmember Hines. Councilmember Kennedy.
Present.
Councilmember Brownson. Councilmember Little.
Present.
Councilmember McDonald.
Here.
Council President Noble. Mayor Lilly.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next on our agenda, we will have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Next, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, I ask everyone who was able to join us in standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Next, we have meeting minutes. Meeting minutes for May 4th, 2026 were distributed in advance. Are there any changes or corrections to the minutes from May 4th? Hearing none, the minutes are accepted as presented. Next, we will have approval of the main agenda. Is there a motion to approve tonight's main agenda?
Move that we approve tonight's agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve tonight's main agenda. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it, and the agenda is adopted. Next, we will have a presentation by Greenwell Consulting, the town's lobbyists. Mr. Jonathan Carpenter and Ms. Leslie Feliz are coming forward.
Jonathan Carpenter, Greenwell Consulting, Leslie Feliz. Again, we say it every time, we mean it from the bottom of our hearts. It's really a pleasure, and we do not take it lightly being your eyes and ears in Annapolis. Interesting session we had, to say the least. The dominating thing for this session was definitely the budget. Budget continues to be a structural deficit there, despite their efforts to reduce that deficit. I always tell folks, as you've heard me say before, more like a Band-Aid approach. There's still things that need to be done. We'll talk about some of the things that they did this session. Leslie will talk about, again, the enormity of the bills. I think we had like 3,000 bills and 900, almost 1,000 bills passed. So that's a lot of monitoring. And again, I always say, I appreciate the feedback we get from Upper Marlboro. I mean, from Forest Heights, because you always respond to our letters we send out, communication. That's very important, that feedback about those bills as we track and monitor all the legislation. It's been good moving forward. I'll talk a little bit about the budget. As you can see, I think you have our report. The major drivers of this structural deficit continues to be the, sorry.
If you don't mind,
Start over?
just do your intro.
Yep.
And give us kind of a shortened version of that first piece that you said.
Yep. Jonathan Carpenter, Leslie Felice, Greenwell Consulting. Thank you again. Talking about the structural deficit, the budget was the main theme this year at the legislature.
This is for Maryland, not for Forest Heights, correct?
Yes, that's right. Again, the budget, they reduced the budget, but as you can see from our handout, there's a projected $4 billion structural deficit by 2031 if they continue not to do the things that they need to do to reduce it. The things that are driving the budget, you've heard us say this in the past, continues to be the education. They did fund the Maryland Blueprint for Education. Again, we've talked about this. All the counties continue to say that it's an unfunded mandate. It's just too expensive. The funding of the education. So they're looking at the formula. I think they're finally accepting that while it is our priority throughout the state, there must be I guess, a better way of doing it formula-wise at the state level. So they are looking at it, but it continues to be a major piece that's taking a lot to fund the blueprint. Also, the Medicaid obligations. That was a result of the federal government this year after the election and the things that were done to the federal workers, the layoffs, the firings. Maryland did step up and they were able to offer assistance to a lot of the residents and those affected folks. And as you know, we're the #1 employer. Our employees come from this area in this state. So Maryland stepped up to the plate and was able to offer assistance to a lot of those employees. That was a major piece in terms of Medicaid obligations and medical payments going out. But again, the structural deficit is there, and I got to overemphasize that. We've worked a lot. What we found out during this session, Leslie and I, as we were working on capital grants, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Boys and Girls Funding, but there were funds and LBIs that were sitting on the books in past years, and we were sitting in meetings and we found out that there was this grab at funding that was already authorized. And so folks had LBIs that had been out there 2, 3, 4 years. And when they went to access the funding, it was gone because the legislature and legislators had reauthorized those funds if they had reached an expiration date and they hadn't been accessed. So we worked quickly, working with the town and through some of our contacts, identifying some of those LBIs that we wanted to make sure stayed here in Forest Heights that were prior authorized funds. So some of the things that we had to do, but we found that out, that folks were not getting notified, going to access their funds, and they were gone because they had reached expiration date. So that's how strong the budget is. That's how much folks are looking for funds to do certain things. And I'll lead into the Boys and Girls Funding Initiative. We were looking for the other $450,000. The legislature, the senator and others did not get it during the session. However, there are funds that we've heard that he is accessing and looking to access. So they're working with the governor and others to try to access those funds. So he's still working to get that match for the Boys and Girls Club. So we're keeping an eye and working with him on that and seeing what feedback and what we need to do. Any questions on that? I know that's a major piece for us. I'll let Leslie talk a little bit about some of our key legislation and other things moving forward.
Thank you. Good evening. So as you heard, there were a few thousand bills introduced. We've looked at all those bills that passed to point out which ones are relevant to you all. I'm not going to put you through that. It's about 200 bills that we think are relevant. You will be getting that list tomorrow. So just keep an eye out for that. But there are a few I want to point out today because there are some new reporting requirements for different subject areas that I think are very important for you all. The first one was House Bill 1074, the public ethics law. So this is altering the definitions of what can be considered a conflict of interest, and that now includes daughter and son-in-law. So they are requiring local governments to go back into your ethics regulations and make sure to amend it to include that moving forward. We also saw A few other bills regarding local government, House Bill 357. This is a new reporting requirement. You just have to make sure that on your website you have your elections, the dates, and the procedures of where the voting sites are going to be. So you may already be doing that, but now it's going to be enforced a bit more heavily. They also are requiring reporting to the Board of Education. Now you will have to submit the qualifications to be a candidate in the town. And you have to do this for each office that is open. You also have to include any dates for those elections, including special elections, the locations, and the voting procedures. So that's going to be a new reporting requirement for them. We also saw Senate Bill 255. This was a pretty big bill in Annapolis. It was the Voting Rights Act of 2026. So with all of everything that's going on at the federal and state levels with redistricting, we also have been seeing some of those issues at the county levels. This was mainly due to some issues seen in Baltimore County, where redistricting led to protected classes having their vote diluted. So the legislature took this bill on to make sure that that is prohibited. And now moving forward, counties and municipalities could face lawsuits if they are found doing that. So definitely something to keep in mind. Other than local government, we also saw bills regarding land use. I think one of the big ones you might remember is Senate Bill 36, the Starter and Silver Homes Act. That caused a lot of commotion up in Annapolis because many believe that this was giving the state more authority over your zoning and that municipalities were going to have to take on the responsibility for, trash pickup or policing. And this bill wasn't addressing that. So I think it showed the importance of coming to Annapolis or submitting testimony and having people there to advocate, because they did listen to all those who came up, and all those amendments that were offered ended up holding up the bill, which was a good thing because it showed we need to talk about this more. And if it comes back next year, there has to be a conversation with the people who are going to be impacted directly. So we do expect it to come back. It was a priority bill for DHCD. So definitely something we're going to make sure to stay in touch with the department so that you all can be involved in those conversations if there are amendments you think you can offer to help strengthen that bill moving forward. We also saw House Bill 243, the comprehensive plan requirements update. So moving forward for your comprehensive plans, the requirements for the sections you have to include will no longer be those 12 areas that used to be used. It's now going to be just 8 uniformed elements that are going to be for all counties and municipalities moving forward. So I can send those that new information to you all via email so that you can have that. Another one, a Housing Certainty Act. This is going to require for local governments to approve real estate development projects, residential development projects. Those have to be approved within 30 days, approved or denied within 30 days. And if it's not, then by the 35th date, it's going to be considered approved, even if you haven't taken a look at it. This bill also is going to prohibit the collection of development impact fees and excise taxes until those projects are completed. Another one, Bring Back Main Street. DHCD is going to do a study due in December to take a look at how we can have mixed-use development in commercial zones. So I think that's going to be a very important one to take a look at when the report comes out in December. We also saw House Bill 161, which is going to allow you to give a property tax credit for retail service station conversions. The big thing with this is that you have to make sure that those properties have closed the underground storage tanks in order for the tax credit to be approved. We also, the last section, we saw quite a few bills regarding public safety. One is Senate Bill 189, open drainage inlets. There was an issue in the state where, unfortunately, a kid fell through one of those. So now the state is going to bring in some reporting requirements. So by July 1st, 2027, you'll have to take inventory of all the existing inlets that you have in the town. And by the next year, April 1st, 2028, you're going to have a plan developed for how you're going to improve those inlets. And the one good thing is you won't have to take on the financial burden completely. The Maryland Department of Environment is going to be required to give matching funds to help improve those. And the last one here I will bring up is regarding the speed monitoring systems in safety corridors. So now they're going to authorize the use of those in high risk or what are considered vulnerable areas. I can take a bit more of a look to see if you all have a highway that is considered that, but that it might be something that can be used here. I know that there are a few areas that could possibly use speed monitoring to avoid those pedestrian issues that we've been seeing. So I will bring up one more because I know we have storm mitigation projects here at times. So House Bill 254 is the Supporting Inclusive Community Adaptation Act. This is going to require a fund in the Department of Natural Resources for nature-based restoration projects. So if you have a project that can be tied in with climate change vulnerability, so like I said, storm mitigation, you could possibly be getting some grant funding through this. So again, there are quite a few more bills. I'm happy to schedule a meeting with you all to just sit down and walk you through any other bills that we saw. But we're more than happy to answer some questions at the end. I think the next slide is on the interim activity. As you all know, the interim is a very important time for us to start preparing for next session. By fall, the legislature is starting to figure out what their priorities are going to be. So we, of course, want to start having those conversations with you all as soon as possible. Like I said, there are a few reports that will be coming out, so we'll be making sure to notify you all. I think the biggest date coming up will be July 1st. That's when the budget will officially go into effect. So we'll make sure to keep you notified on that as well. But Jonathan, I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah, I would just add, thank you, Leslie. The automated speed enforcement on 210. We know we have movement, but with no success. But we already know that we're going to make sure that bill's pre-filed and work with the delegation to make sure that delegation gets behind it and pre-files that bill. So we're definitely going to move forward with that and make sure it's a pre-filed bill with the support of the full delegation moving forward. But again, in the interim strategy, interim meetings, we'll talk about moving your priorities forward.
Are there any questions for Mr. Carpenter or Ms. Felice? Councilmember McDonald.
Not a question, but just, I guess, something that will be helpful in terms of the reporting requirements and the deadlines. If all of the items that would affect the town, if we could have the dates for those reporting requirements so that we can, I know we have some, the July 1st, 2027 for the inlets and things of that nature, but all of the ones that you know would affect us, if we could have those reporting requirement dates. And then, what was the other thing? Sorry. Let's see. Oh, so the budget you said is a structural deficit of $4 billion, and that is it just education that is the unfunded mandate? What other unfunded mandates
Well,
are there?
we call it an unfunded mandate because of the pushback from the counties in Baltimore City, Montgomery, et cetera. But the fact is that it just costs a lot. The number's astronomical for the blueprint, funding it as is in the formula. The other thing that has ballooned the budget was the medical obligations, the payments for Medicaid and other things, again, that the federal government dropped as a result of the firings and things like that. Also, public safety, immigration, I mean, was a major piece. So those were some of the things that made the budget grow up. But this is not something that, you're hearing about this year, right? We've been talking about this for the last 2 or 3 years, and it's going to continue to grow until they make serious cuts in certain places. Again, there was a big debate last 2 years about cuts to disability services, the budget. Again, there was mass demonstrations. There were funds put back in the budget, but there were some cuts, and there are just going to have to be probably some serious cuts further be made. But again, we got to push back on and protecting our priorities in the municipalities.
Thank you.
I would add that we're going to be embarking on strategic planning over the summer, and we would like more information specifically about if that impacts any requirements for the comprehensive plan changes that you mentioned. If there are no further questions, thank you for the updates. And we look forward to working with you in the coming year for our legislative priorities.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Next, we will have council member and mayor reports. And we will begin in Ward 1 with Councilmember McDonald.
Good evening, everyone, and just a few things. So one is we will be having a Green Team meeting on May the 30th from 10:30 to 11. And then we're going to have our 60+ committee meeting from 11 to 11:30. The times have changed, so please take note of those changes. And keeping in mind the purpose of the Green Team and its contribution to Forest Heights sustainability efforts and reducing energy and water consumption and fostering a workplace culture of sustainability. So please join us for the Green Team meeting. It's very important for the things that we have around sustainability in the town of Forest Heights. Also, our 60+ committee is important for our seniors and the things that we have lined up for them. Also, I wanted to just share very quickly with the residents, not just in Ward 1, but in the town, that we do have code enforcement officer on board now, and wanted to just share that the residents are aware of that and that you may see a visit from our code enforcement officer just to make sure that certain things and ordinances are followed, especially when it comes to cutting your grass. So I'm preaching to the choir. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Councilmember Little, also from Ward 1.
Good evening, everyone. I do not have anything to report today. Thank you.
Next, we'll have Councilmember Kennedy from Ward 2.
We recently had awards for the police officers. It was put together very well. It went very well. We definitely appreciate the officers that we have, that they wake up every day that they have to come to work and they run toward danger as opposed to away from it. So I just wanted to put that on notice that we do appreciate the police officers and every employee and resident of the town. Hopefully we can all work together to make Forest Heights even better each year.
Thank you. Next, I'll present my report for today. An update for residents who were here and both at home. We're going to have a stop sign program presentation. It was going to be tonight, but it's been moved to Monday, June 1st. It'll be during our regular meeting, which will start at 7:30. This presentation will be a transparent update to residents to see the data behind the stop sign monitoring program, the behavior changes, and other information, also an opportunity to ask questions. The trail and use maintenance agreement for the National View project is going to be distributed to council this week, and we will be coming back on June 1st to consider a vote on that agreement. At the last meeting we had, the National View team gave a presentation, and after negotiations back and forth for over a year, we were able to have them include pedestrian and bike infrastructure as part of the trail agreement, in addition to an annual fee for having the use and maintenance agreement that every 5 years will have an adjustment for inflation to increase that fee that the town receives. Didn't get to do this at the last meeting, so just wanted to share some of the photos from our Forest Heights Market Series launch, which was on April the 25th with an Earth Day theme. We gave away some trees and shrubs to residents as part of our sustainability efforts. And we also had performances, local vendors, and town information there as well. I also attended the Forsyth Police Department Awards ceremony with some of the council members and other staff members. It's already been noted that it was a successful and an inspiring event that talked about some of the day-to-day work that helps to save lives and to keep our community safe. I was proud to participate in a clock distribution at each of the 3 elementary schools that are in Forest Heights Elementary, Flintstone Elementary, and Oxon Hill Elementary. This was in partnership with the Kappa Alpha Psi alumni chapter out of Fort Washington, Maryland. They actually received the clocks from the sheriff's office, and they were tasked with identifying local schools that were in need. These are animated clocks, which also had illustrated and animated designs on them, which are designed to help our young folks in the elementary schools remember to tell time with a clock, as well as using the digital tools and screens they see today. So we're grateful to the Kappa Alpha Psi chapter in Fort Washington for thinking of Forest Heights and for partnering with us on that event. And lastly, we are 1 month away today from the next edition of the Forest Heights Market Series. It'll be on Saturday, June 20th in the Gathering Place, which is directly next to Henry Soul Cafe, from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. And again, we'll have musical performances, local vendors, and small businesses that you can take advantage of, as well as an opportunity to meet town staff and to sign up for committees and be more involved in the town if you'd like to do so. At this time, we will now have a public hearing for ordinance number 01-26. Ordinance number 01-26 is an ordinance of the mayor and the council of the town of Forest Heights, Maryland, to approve and adopt the fiscal year 2027 budget and authorize its amendment by resolution. The proposed FY 2027 budget for the town of Forest Heights reflects a town that is continuing to strengthen its financial position while making thoughtful investment in the services, infrastructure, and people that support our residents every day. We know residents are feeling the rising costs of everyday expenses, from groceries to utilities and other household bills. That is why we are proud that while many jurisdictions around the state have had to increase taxes or fees this year, Forest Heights is able to maintain its current tax rate. That stability is possible because of stronger financial planning, improved budgeting practice, and disciplined management of town resources. Over the last year, the town has made measurable financial progress. In FY 26, the town reported approximately 2.3 million in positive operating results, a significant turnaround from the prior fiscal year. Our cash position also increased substantially, growing to approximately 3.6 million compared to roughly 1.3 million just 2 years ago. At the same time, the town has been actively trying to reduce liabilities and continue improving financial controls, as well as setting the stage for long-term planning. Those improvements are because the town is reinvesting back into services while maintaining financial stability. The proposed FY 27 budget includes the addition of 3 public safety officers to strengthen coverage, response, and community presence. It also includes a cost of living adjustments for employees, recognizing the work of the staff, which helps to carry out the town's mission day to day, and through years of transition and capital and operational improvement. Most importantly, this budget supports participation in the Maryland State Retirement System. This is an investment in workforce stability, helping the town attract and retain dedicated employees who continue building institutional knowledge and delivering consistent service to residents for years to come. Notably, this improvement and investment will serve as less than 2% of the total budget, which shows the ability for us to strengthen retention and recruitment while maintaining fiscal responsibility. The budget also strengthens the town's long-term financial position by establishing reserve policies aligned with national best practices, including the Government Finance Officers Association of America, which will review this year's budget for clarity, transparency, and suggestions for formatting that make it easy for residents to read and understand the town's financial priorities and operations. This also includes setting aside approximately $150,000 in a newly created future road repairs fund and preparing for the future pension obligations, which are not due in this fiscal year, but are being set aside proactively. While there is still work ahead, this budget reflects meaningful progress and a stronger foundation for the future of Forest Heights. It demonstrates a commitment to responsible financial stewardship, stable services, and thoughtful investment in our community. At this time, we will open it up to public comment from members of the public who would like to speak on the budget ordinance 01-26. As with other public comment periods, each resident will have up to 2 minutes to provide comment. We'll ask that you state your name and your street name. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak during the public hearing at this time? If you please come forward.
Good afternoon,
Good afternoon.
or evening, I should say. My name is Andrea McCutcheon. And I did notice some things
If you could
in,
just, Ms. McCutcheon, good to see you. If you could just share your street,
oh, Seneca Drive.
thank you. And your 2 minutes is beginning now.
Okay, I noticed that you had on the flyer that you would take questions. You could send in questions. And I did send in some questions and I wanted to know, did you get them? And how are you going to be answering those questions? Are you reading the questions out or how are you doing it?
So when did you send your questions to us?
This afternoon, once I got the revised budget that she had sent.
Okay. We're going to allow you, if you have questions, to ask some of them now. We can answer them if we can, or if we can't, we'll get back to you.
Okay. Okay, that'll work. I was thinking about something else, but at any rate, the main thing that I noticed on the budget, or one thing I wanted to ask also, is that usually a long time ago, we went through every single line item and figured out what we had spent the prior year and what we needed to spend as far as looking forward. And I noticed for the last couple of years, you just come out with a budget and you approve it. You don't go through any of the line items. So what I did in the few minutes that I had, once I got this, I went through your line items and I noticed a whole bunch of discrepancies. The first one is public safety. This is regarding public safety sworn officer staffing levels. And there's a discrepancy on page 28 where it says that the staffing level narrative says that there are 11 parentheses 14 sworn officers. So that's a discrepancy. And my question was, are there 11, 13, 14, or 15 sworn officers? If you look at your staffing table, it indicates 13 sworn officers field and 2 seasonal part-time field. The FY27 budget indicates a part-time lieutenant and police officer position on page 18. However, the corresponding line item for 2026 shows that there's only 1 part-time officer position currently filled.
Thank you, Ms. McCutcheon.
That's all the time I get?
That's your time.
I thought you said you would answer questions.
Well, it's not going to be a back and forth, but we'll go through
No,
and answer
I have another
questions.
topic. You don't have anybody here.
We'll go through and answer questions after we conclude the public comment portion.
Okay, so I can't talk to you about your discrepancies in your staffing pay increases of 11%?
Well, thankfully, we have your notes, which we appreciate it. So that's your time.
Okay.
And we appreciate you coming out tonight.
Sure.
Thank
sure.
you.
I'll speak to the public period.
Is there anyone else, either online or in the auditorium tonight, who wishes to speak during the budget hearing? To our technical support, are there any hands that are raised that I can't see? Yes, I see a hand. If you could please come off of mute, give your name and your street name, and we'll give you 2 minutes to provide comment. Thank you for being here tonight.
Good evening, Cynthia Mann. Just a quick question in terms of the budget. Has the budget been published? And if so,
Just a
where
moment,
can I find
Ms. Mann, could you tell us your street?
I'm sorry, Arapahoe Terrace.
Thank you. You can begin.
Has the budget been published? And if so, where can I find it?
Yes, the budget has been published on the website, and it's also available for inspection at the town hall.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mann. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak during public period for the budget ordinance 01-26 at this time? All right. Ms. McCutcheon, to respond to your first question, we have a committee hearing for the public Ways and Means and the Finance Committee hearing where they go through the budget, discuss it in detail, and the budget is actually worked through with the staff as the charter requires the mayor and the treasurer work on a budget plan and present it to council as outlined in the timeline. And we have open discussion both in the Ways and Means and the Finance Committee hearing meeting. And we had this budget open for discussion at the last meeting as well. Today's meeting is where we're going to have some final discussion, take comments from residents into account as required by the charter. And so we're committed to providing multiple opportunities for residents to have input, to listen, to make suggestions, and to discuss the ultimate disposition of the budget. To the other question on police and how it's presented in the budget book, do we have a treasurer online to answer that question? Mr. Frankenfield?
Yeah, Mayor, it would be best to address in writing. So if I could get the questions in email, then I can respond to it.
Thank you, sir. There's one question we received that was written, which I'll read. It's from Mr. Thomas Bracey. It says, same comments as before, don't appreciate the town is using the residents to pay for upcoming projects by ignoring the ill position of the stop sign camera on Comanche Drive at Livingston Road. As previously stated, no one can see what's coming in either direction on Livingston Road when they stop at that sign. You can only see traffic coming from left and right by pulling all the way to the end of the drive. Therefore, anyone leaving by Comanche Drive has to stop twice. First, to pose for the camera, and second, to see the traffic. It is unfair to the drivers that an outrageous number of tickets are given for that location just to finance the town's future projects. Anyone having lived here 40 years, just like me, and tuned into driving directly to where we can see, and therefore unwittingly pass the ill-located stop line, which, by the way, you cannot tell if you're before it or on it or past it when you approach it. I really wish the town's administration actually cared and would fix it. I will not be attending any more town events because I feel I have to pay $40 to go anywhere in Forsyth. Ms. McCutcheon, I see you have a number of questions. The first one we'll be getting back to you on.
Sure.
Second question, I'm going to summarize.
Can you take a question?
How do you justify budgeting 13 sworn officers, 1 or 2 part-time positions, and proposing 3 additional positions for the town of Forest Heights? Do the statistics and calls for service reflect Forest Heights, or do they also include incidents from Prince George's County outside of Forest Heights? Before I turn this question over, I'm going to say that since Chief Ruffin has joined the town, he did an assessment of calls, staffing, when incidents occur, and best practices for having the requisite number of patrol staff as well as supervisors on duty. So the first answer to your question is that anything you see reflected in the budget is based on analysis. It's not a knee-jerk reaction. It is based on analysis and has been considered over the past 8 months. Next, I'll turn it over to Chief Ruffin to share a little more information.
Good evening. Thank you for the question. So to kind of summarize your answer, to give you an answer for it, previously in the past, a lot of agencies or nationwide average has been based off FBI studies, but we have now moved from that to more DOJ studies because different areas, crimes are a little bit different than you will have for a national average. So they use that study for the 2.8 per 1,000 residents as a standard, but that's mostly for large agencies, but they don't consider municipalities. And what that means is when you have a municipalities, our obligations are a little bit different than a large agency such as Prince George's County. So I see in your study, you put that we have about 2.8, which would give us about 6 to 8 officers. And that is basically on patrol. So theoretically, your answer is technically correct because that's what we need on patrol. And right now we're a little bit short. So as patrol officers, we would need that. So that's why we're asking for the increase so that we can make sure that our 24-hour coverage is still covered and we're protecting the town. Now, what does not be considered in your FBI study is call off, court times, vacation, people getting sick, officers getting injured, which now means that we have to cover, which now increases our budget because now you have overtime that has to come play in. Now you have life concerns, you have officers that are missing time because they are now working not only 12-hour shifts, but we're on a 16-hour shift. So now we're losing more officers due to health concerns because they're here. So why we are asking for the increase is one, better life for our officers. We run a 12-hour shift, which gives us roughly about, I think it's about 14 minimum that I would kind of need just to run it to keep it at 24 hours. And that's only 2 per shift operating and making sure that we have a 24-hour coverage within the town. Theoretically, right now, we have about 60 Part 1 crimes that happened since January 1st to May 20th, not including the county, which is just surrounding us. And I'll give you an idea, just from Eastover to about Birchwood, at an additional 67, which would double our calls to 127, which then increases the crime and violence within the town of Forest Heights. So we want to make sure we keep that. So that's why I'm asking for the officers to make sure we maintain that coverage.
Ms. McCutcheon, I'm sure you're familiar that in the meeting, we're not going to go back and forth, but we will address the questions. It's just a moment. I'm not willing to be talked over, and I will allow you a moment to speak after the meeting is concluded. During the meeting, we provided you a chance to speak during the regular period for the public hearing for the budget. We can't go back and forth, but we're happy to answer questions we can today. And for the ones that we don't have an answer for, we'll send you an update. Thank you. No, I'm not. Okay. Next question. How do you justify the appropriations for speed, red light, and stop sign camera revenue? So to answer this specific question, we have identified, based on trends, what has come in and have made conservative projections based on what we expect to collect. The treasurer conducts a review and ensures that the funds that are spent according to the requirements for public safety and speed monitoring services in their collection. And so that means there is a formula and documentation that shows that the expenditures are offset by actual activities that support public safety or speed or traffic safety as required by the state law. Anything else to add there, Mr. Frankenfield?
No, I think that's accurate. And, when we use the term appropriations, it means spending. I think the actual question is, how do we justify the revenue we budgeted for fiscal year 27? And you explained the process accurately. I measure it against current year to date and project what we anticipate it'll look like in fiscal year 27.
Okay, next question. What formula was used to determine wage increases? Did the council vote to approve them? How do you justify the increases? And I'm looking at a collection of lines. Some are for, the majority are for police, 2 are for administrative, and yeah, so police and administrative offices are the ones that are covered. To give an update, earlier this year, we moved funds within the public safety budget that were budgeted for vehicles, and we instead moved them to a retention bonus for officers. So the amount of money that was spent didn't increase, but we took the funds that were dedicated to vehicle repairs that were not going to happen due to management of the fleet, and they were used as retention bonuses for officers who hadn't received a raise in the past few years. And this was after Chief Ruffin's analysis of savings in the public safety line items. There were also a series of promotions. So some individuals were promoted to a different position. And on the administrative increases, as I mentioned earlier in the introduction to the budget, we're giving a 3% cost of living increase to staff, or 3% cost of living increase to staff across the board this year. Okay, I see a question that says, what qualifies as miscellaneous revenue, and what are its sources that are not already categorized within line item 4080 or 4080?
And Mayor, I can answer that. We use miscellaneous revenue to capture insurance refunds, vendor refunds, the opioid settlements, the expectation that we would look at what we've made in fiscal year 27 and drafting the 27 budget isn't acceptable. We could have been conservative in those budget amounts, but for the revenues, the town is further ahead to be conservative on what we expect for revenue than what we've actually earned this year. So we are satisfied with the numbers that we put forth in the budget for this year.
One question says, what is the contract amount for the town attorney? And what are the other anticipated expenditures of 30,000? Just a moment, Ms. McCutcheon. Thank you. On this question, if you'll wait, we'll get an answer to you before the end of the meeting. Unless you have it handy already. Mr. Frankenfield.
Yeah, I don't have the town attorney contract amount, but there's some added expenditures for fiscal year 27 we needed to include.
All right, thank you. There's another question, Arapahoe Drive paving request for proposal. What is the appropriation line item number? Is it FY 26 or 27? And this one, Mr. Jackson can answer.
Ms. McCutcheon, if you look at fiscal year 26 budget book, it's line item 9015.2. It's a Maryland Department of Transportation grant that would be funding that project. It's not specific for that, but we can use it for various road projects, and that's included in that.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak before we move on and conclude the public hearing portion for ordinance number 01-26? Okay, hearing none. This concludes the public hearing for budget ordinance number 01-26, which is an ordinance for the mayor and council to adopt the FY 27 budget and authorize its amendment by resolution. Is there any discussion from council on the ordinance number 01-26 budget ordinance? Councilmember Little.
Good evening. I do have a few questions, just two. I wanted to know about the student intern position. How did we come to the amount for that position, as well as internships are more so structured work-based. And so I was just wondering, would it be a learning plan for that internship? Also, I noticed that the chief budget, the salary for the chief was cut, and I just want to know why that was cut.
I'll answer the first question. For the chief,
yeah, it says chief of police, right?
oh, just a moment. Is your mic on, Councilmember?
Yes, it's on.
Is it? I see a message that said we can't hear.
Hello?
You all able to hear us?
That's better. That's
Yeah.
better.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
I didn't hear the second question, Mayor.
My apologies. I just, I wasn't as close. I came up to the mic now. So as far as the internship, I was just wondering, how did we come up with that figure 10,000 for 3-month internship? And also because internship is supposed to be a structured work-based plan, I was wondering if there is a lesson plan or a learning plan for like what will be done during the time duration of his internship. And then I noticed there was a cut in the chief's salary. So I just wanted to know what that was about.
So I'll open it up to Mr. Jackson on the intern question, and I'll answer about the chief's salary after that.
So the salary came about through the a regional average of income provided for interns, as well as starting salaries for persons in positions assigned to the type of duties that this particular intern would be assigned to, which leads to your learning plan. There will be a learning plan. Also, the person selected for this position would continue in the current duties that we have throughout the town. For instance, working on senior programming and working on youth activities that we have quite routinely, as well as partnering with our mobile tech officer and the mobile fleet work. So that's the schedule itinerary that we have for the time that the intern would be employed here. It will only be for the months that school is out. So it would be from the end of June to the end of August.
Also, is there a way that we're like measuring his performance, or like, is there a job description or just a little bit more basis on what the intern will be doing? That way I'm able to make a more solid vote decision. If that makes sense.
Well, there will be, prior to someone being selected to be the intern. On the question about the chief's salary, the salary maximum is different than where the chief was hired. And so he actually received an increase from his prior salary where he began. It's just not at the maximum for that position. Yeah, what was budgeted in 2026 was up to 116, and the actual pay, you got it? Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council on ordinance?
My apologies,
Dash
Chief.
26? Okay. Now, we have this on the agenda today. Is it the council's wish to vote today or to vote on June 1st, our next meeting? Councilmember Kennedy, do you have something?
I was going to ask to table this anyway, so my vote is for June 1st.
All right, on June 1st, we will bring the budget back for final vote. And that concludes our public hearing for budget ordinance number 01-26. Next, we will have public period. This is a general public period where members of the public can speak or provide comment to the mayor and council. You'll have up to 2 minutes. If we can't answer your question now, we'll try to do so within the next 72 hours. We ask you state your name and your street address. Is there anyone who wishes to speak during public period at this time? Please come forward.
Hi, it's me again. You know, one thing I really wanted to say, and really sometimes how I feel is how you can imagine feeling with the Trump administration now and how they're doing everything and they don't care. That's sometimes how I feel when I address certain things around here, and you get the, you know, it's, I don't know, but at any rate, what you do need to do is go over this budget by the line items, because I noticed that there was a 11% raise for the police officer position. And it doesn't even, I probably lost my paper, and it doesn't even explain why. You know, just, it goes from $69,000 to $76,000 on a sergeant, 10.121%. And then the police first class goes from 63 or from 57 to 63, and that's not 3%. There's no explanation for it. And the other thing that I had mentioned about, you know, what these numbers are, you should be able to, public safety, the speed camera funds doesn't mean it all goes to the police officers, which is what you're doing. And for the number of officers that you need, with the number of officers that you have, that's like 4.3 officers per 1,000 residents and this is Forest Heights. There's not this much going on here. And I almost know that your stats are coming from Prince George County, and most of those calls are not in Forest Heights. They're in Birchwood and all around here. And that's the problem, because we're paying taxes in Forest Heights. And I don't see that many patrols up and down. And when I pass by these school kids, I don't see any patrols up and down, or, you know, waiting out there for the school kids. So you're really just squandering money off of this police department, $2-something million, and you only have a $1.2-something million tax base. And the other thing I wanted to say, I guess I have to write letters. It seems like District 8, all our funds and our programs are revolving around District 8. And not just Forest Heights, with Clinton and all these other places using those funds from the National Harbor. Your website, I saw what the budget was for the website. The website doesn't, I couldn't find, I sent another message to ask for the third quarter report. None of that information is in the third quarter report. The newsletters aren't in there, so that's a problem.
Thank you, Ms. McCutcheon. That's your time.
I didn't hear the bell. That's okay.
Yes.
I'll expect a written response too. I'll send one to the treasurer.
Thank you for coming tonight. As a fellow resident of Forest Heights, I just want to state unequivocally that we do listen. We can't please everyone, but we do listen, and we appreciate you coming in and providing comment. We welcome residents to do that, so we remain responsive and we remember to serve the residents. I will say that as it relates to public safety, the different mechanisms of traffic safety enforcement, it's not all going to the police department. In fact, some of the funds are required to go to traffic safety improvements. And you'll notice over the next few weeks and months that stop signs are going to be replaced, white lines will be repainted, curbs, speed humps, crossings, other mechanisms for protecting people and making pedestrians more visible and the traffic safety components more robust in the town. There's other things as well, but I just wanted to respond to that to let you know we see traffic safety and public safety as a holistic solution. It includes people, it includes physical infrastructure, training, and other items as well. Also, you mentioned District 8 funding. We had a lot of District 8 funding this year, last year, the year before. This year's budget does not anticipate District 8 funding. And so we'll be working on things based on what we know will be coming in. If extra funding comes, we'll welcome it. If it doesn't, this budget is prepared for us to go through the year without anticipating any of those District 8 funds. We do believe it's been a benefit though. We do believe it's been a benefit, particularly for youth and for community engagement. All right. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak during public period at this time? All right, going once, going twice. The second public period is now closed. Next, we will move into legislation for action. First up, we have Resolution 36-26. This is a resolution of the mayor and council to approve the opioid settlement with the 6 remnant defendants, Associated Pharmacies Incorporated and American Associated Pharmacies, J.M. Smith Corporation, Louisiana Wholesale Drug Company Incorporated, Morrison-Dixon Company, North Carolina Mutual Wholesale Drug Company Incorporated, and United Natural Foods Incorporated, including its subsidiaries, SuperValue and Advantage Logistics, and to affirmatively opt in to the settlement as required by the terms of the settlement. I move that we adopt Resolution 36-26.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 36-26. Discussion. To provide some background on this resolution, it secures a one-time financial settlement for the town. Participation guarantees direct payment to the town of Forest Heights, providing immediate resources that can be used for opioid abatement and community health initiatives. And it aligns the town with statewide and national litigation strategy. It ensures inclusion in the nationally negotiated allocation formula, and it supports continued accountability for opioid industry misconduct. And I'll add that I know personally our officers happen to respond to incidents where members of the public in Forest Heights have suffered from or been experiencing opioid related health crisis. Is there any further discussion on Resolution 36-26?
Yes, so I see that, oh. yes.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes, so in the whereas, let's see, one, two, three, fourth, whereas the proposed remnant defendant settlement will result in the 6 remnant defendants paying a combined 97,625,000 in cash for purposes of abating the opioid epidemic. So for the town of Forest Heights, where does it say the amount of the settlement that we would be receiving? Does it say? Am I missing something?
Yes, the amount is in the resolution. It's not 96 million.
What is that? What is,
Mayor, that amount is for the total settlement for all of the participating parties, which I think exceeds hundreds of towns and cities. So we will get our cut based on the percentage that's identified in the resolution, and I believe there's an attachment to the resolution, Exhibit A.
but Attorney Deloach, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Am I correct in that number though? 97,625,000?
Yeah, that should be,
Okay.
and I think it's confirmed. And do you have Exhibit A attached?
No. No.
Okay.
moment.
Isn't Exhibit A referenced in the resolution?
It is. I
Yes,
have, I
Yeah.
have exhibit. I
Okay.
have exhibit there. The resolution states it's in Exhibit E. Is someone able to pull up Exhibit E for me? Councilmember Kennedy.
Is it possible to have this relayed to us, emailed or next meeting? So I understand you want to know the dollar amount, but it's money that we're trying to receive. So it's not money that we're spending. So can we vote on this and then get the dollar amount later?
Would advise that because we have a June 4th deadline. Technically, we could do it on June 1st, but they extended this from May the 4th to June the 4th. So, and Mayor, for some reason, I couldn't attach the document, but I cut and paste into an email to you from that settlement overview that confirms that 97 million figure that's in the resolution. But it does not say what each participating municipality is going to get. So it's not in there. It's exactly what we would get out of the settlement.
Okay, yeah, based on what you sent me and what I reviewed in the multiple documents, they haven't outlined exactly the dollar amount the town will receive. They just have notated the total amount that's being distributed, and that as a town that has less than 30,000 residents, we're eligible to receive funding based on a formula that's determined and follows a state level action.
That is correct. But we can try to figure that out. And if we figure out what that number is, I will send it over to the council.
Councilmember McDonald.
So just a question. So it then becomes, after we get the dollar amount, becomes I guess, a budget line item or incorporated into the budget, correct?
Going to be received. So
your audio went out, Mr.
I'm sorry.
Deloach. If we could just try stating that again.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I don't know when that number is going to be determined. I'm sure that that number may exist right now. They may be waiting to see who's going to opt in before, because if some municipalities don't opt in, then technically there may be more money coming to us. So I'm not sure when that money is going to be, the amounts are going to be determined. But at some point when we get that money could be incorporated.
Thank you.
And to read directly from the settlement that will be signed, if we pass this, that I'll be authorized to sign. It says the combined subdivision participation and release form must be executed without alteration and submitted before the deadline for your entity to be included in the initial participation calculations and payment eligibility. So based on what the document says, they're going to determine that, and this allows us to participate in the calculation.
Yeah.
Any further discussion on this resolution?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jackson.
I was able to pull Schedule E or Attachment E from the website, and it appears that Forest Heights percentage is 0.00034% of the 97 million.
Could you repeat that?
0.00034 or 35%. Yes, 0.00035%.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember McDonald,
Yes.
Mayor Lily.
Yes.
The vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, we have Resolution 38-26. This is a resolution of the mayor and council of the town of Forsyth Heights, Maryland, to approve the employment and appointment of Devetri Ford as a code enforcement officer for the town of Forsyth Heights. Bless you. I move that we adopt Resolution 038-26.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 38-26. Discussion. Mr. Devetri Ford is here. He was hired on a part-time basis and has already begun work in the town of Forsyth Heights. He has, according to the chief of police who hires into this position, is a full-time code enforcement officer with previous experience in other municipalities, has been vetted and demonstrated capability to do this work. Anything else to add, Chief Ruffin?
No, he's just been doing a great job, and we truly appreciate him.
Anything you'd like to have comment or say anything, Mr. Ford?
Just have it be anytime.
If you could come forward to the microphone, and when you see the green light, that means folks at home can hear you as well.
Like I said, I'm just happy to be here at the town of Forsyth Heights. Like I said, just it's a lot of work to be done out there, especially this grass season. So I'm out there looking, but like I said, I'm fair with the residents, and like I said, I'm just looking, to be a part of the team and work together with Chief and the council members to get the town, up to par where it needs to be at.
Thank you, Mr. Ford.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on Resolution 38-26? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes.
Mayor Lily.
Yes.
The vote was unanimous. The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, we'll move to Resolution 39-26. This is a resolution of the mayor and council of the town of Forsyth Heights, Maryland, authorizing the mayor and town administrator to execute the State of Maryland Capital Project Grants Agreement for the Forsyth Heights Public Safety and Community Center project. I move that we adopt Resolution 39-26. It has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 39-26. Discussion. As Mr. Carpenter mentioned earlier tonight, there are state funds that the town applied to receive. This particular resolution secures $200,000 in state funding, and it allows the town to formally accept the already approved State of Maryland Capital Projects Grant. Is there any further discussion for Resolution 39-26? All right, hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember McDonald, Mayor Lily.
Yes.
The vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, that concludes our legislation for this evening. There are no further items on the agenda. The time is now yes, Madam Clerk. Which item is that? Did I really?
It's
know what?
resolution 40-26.
Okay, my online version is a little different. Oh, no, I do see it. I see it. No, it's here. I see it. All right, so there was an item that was added for discussion tonight. Okay, so let's do this. Was it a part of the printed agenda we adopted in the beginning? Okay. We're gonna go back in the agenda to this legislation item for discussion, if council is okay with that. All in favor of going back to this item 40-06? It was part of the printed agenda that we adopted. I was looking at the printed.
Mayor Lily, if I may.
Madam Clerk?
The agenda may need to be amended because it was actually to come before legislation for action. But we got a little ahead of ourselves, so I went ahead and moved it down. So the agenda does need to be amended.
All right, I move that we amend tonight's agenda. Moving legislation for discussion after legislation for action.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we amend tonight's agenda, moving legislation for action after legislation for discussion after legislation for action. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Are there any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Now we'll have resolution 40-26. This is a resolution amending the fiscal year 26 budget to recognize additional automated speed enforcement revenues, increase public safety and debt service appropriations, and authorize the payoff of certain speed camera vehicle lease obligations. So since this is for discussion, I'll just provide a little background. In planning for efficient uses of the town's resources, as has come up tonight, this particular resolution will help to align funding that has come in above what was anticipated to pay down a lease, which incurs interest that frees up future budget capacity and financial burdens on the taxpayers, while following the formulas for how the funding can be used and helping to reduce this liability sooner than anticipated. Mr. Frankenfield, could you provide some additional context?
Yes, Mayor. So the town, if you review April financials that went out the end of last week, our collections for speed camera are well in excess of budget for the current fiscal year. And as you're all well aware, there's a formula where the town gets to recover its costs plus 10% of its annual budgeted revenues, and the remainder needs to be returned to the state. So we're in a planning position because we had this windfall of revenue. We're projected to have to return some of our collections to the state in the fall of the upcoming fiscal year. So we're in a planning stage. Are there other uses for these funds that will fit the state guidelines? And that's what the legislation in front of you is intended for. The chief is working on a list of additional capital expenditures that we have reviewed and feel like they meet the state's criteria, and along with the debt service repayment. So we think this is an opportunity to take some of the burden off of future years' budgets with this legislation. And I'll hold there for any questions.
Thank you, sir. Are there questions from council on resolution 40-26? Councilmember McDonald.
So the portion that goes back to the state, is that the so in the, what is this? Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6 whereas, Todd, I'm sorry, Mr. Frankenfield. The town treasurer has reconciled the fiscal year 2026 automated speed enforcement revenues, operating costs, and applicable state revenue sharing requirements, and has determined that the town may either incur additional eligible direct public safety and operational expenditures or otherwise anticipate remitting approximately 50% of automated speed enforcement revenues collected through April of this year. Is that
Correct.
April of this year, Mr.
So
Frankenfeld?
the rest of the fiscal year, starting April, May, June.
Okay, because that wasn't clear. To the state of Maryland. Okay, and then currently projected to total approximately $300,000. Okay.
Any additional questions?
One quick question, Mayor. So these items that are in the whereas where it talks about the fines and fees, the public safety, all of these become budget line items. Is that correct?
That's correct. Those are our recommended changes to the revenue and the public safety appropriations and the debt service to allow for us to reduce, for the town to incur the additional costs to reduce the state payable.
Okay, thank you.
So to reiterate, this is a plan that allows for the town to use the funds as the state allows and to make the most impact while reducing the amount that may potentially be returned back to the state. Under this plan, what would be the amount that would go back to the state? Is that $70,000 maximum based on the projections?
Approximately 300 is our projection, 70 for the debt service and 230 for capital outlays for the police department is our plan.
So my question is, without the plan in place, what would go back to the state?
300.
300. And this plan covers how much that would be used for other public safety related expenses within the town?
300.
Okay, so this is a plan to capture the amount that would go back if it was not otherwise planned and appropriated.
That's correct.
Okay. Councilmember McDonald.
I have a funny question. Could any of these funds be used to pay for some of the tickets that people?
Unfortunately, no.
Thank you, Mr. Frankenfeld.
Okay, any further discussion on resolution 40-26? All right, hearing none. That concludes legislation for this evening. That is the last item on our agenda this evening. We thank you for coming out. It was up for discussion. Is it the council's desire to vote? Okay, is there a motion to adopt resolution 40-26?
I move that we adopt resolution 40-26.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 40-26. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember McDonald,
Yes.
Mayor Lilly.
Yes.
The vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That is the final item on our agenda this evening. Thank you for joining us. Have a good evening and be safe. Have a safe Memorial Day holiday.